Hey friends, and welcome back to another episode of Entitled People. We got some more Reddit stories to check out today, so be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into it, guys. Karen wants her ID checked. I work in a casual fine dining restaurant in a downtown area. Prices aren't crazy, but high enough that we don't get a super young crowd. I would say average age of our dinner crowd is 30 to 60, although it varies more on the weekend. I only include this information so you understand why I didn't initially ask for identification, even though you should always check. Thursday night, a table of 4 comes in for early dinner. 2 Karens and their daughters. Excellent. I'm ready for them to split entrees and tip me 15%. Not the worst type of table if we're being honest. But nonetheless, they order a pitcher of sangria, and I tell them I'll be right back with that for them. To which Mama Karen says to me, "You really aren't going to check these girls' IDs? Her birthday was just last month. Aren't you supposed to check anyone who looks under 40? She is correct. Of course, that I should have asked for identification even though the girls were with their mothers, and I was being lazy by assuming they were of age, since their moms did not stop them from ordering drinks. I agree with her and tell her that I actually am supposed to check all IDs regardless of age, and proceed to look at all 4 of the ladies' IDs. Unfortunately for Mama Karen, her birthday was a few days previously, and her ID had expired. In the state of Michigan, it is illegal to serve alcohol to anyone with an expired ID, regardless of age, so I had to deny Mama Karen a glass for the sangria, while her daughter and friend shared a pitcher. I didn't really have malicious intentions, however it felt good that Karen's antics backfired on her. Edit. I didn't include details of Karen throwing a fit when I denied her a glass of sangria. She informed me that she, a business owner, is more aware of the law than I, a mere server, could ever be. I simply couldn't just do my job and bring her a glass. My generation doesn't respect elders and blah blah blah. Her daughters were a little embarrassed, I believe, but I tried to move past it and serve them the rest of their meal normally. Karen kept huffing and puffing but said no when I offered to bring a manager over. Goodbye, Internet. At my last job, my main duty was the IT manager for the entire location, among other duties. I had been there for 3.5 years at that point, and I was trusted by everyone. If I had something important to say, people listened. During COVID, while other departments' budgets were getting slashed and employees were getting laid off, I was able to replace a lot of our aging IT infrastructure. At the beginning of my last year there, the owner hires a young "I only tell the truth even though you won't like it" narcissist as his second in charge. He hired this bonehead as his successor to run this location, while the owner would focus on opening up a second. In the first 3 months, Bonehead pisses off everyone, to the point where 15 people from various positions leave the company to find another job. This is during the pandemic, where a lot of people were thankful they had a job. And 15 people were like, "I'm going to risk finding another job in the middle of a pandemic rather than stay here." He was that bad. As Bonehead started to piss off our customer base and our sales started to suffer, we switched over to cost-cutting mode. The owner had largely checked out at this point, so longtime vendors were replaced with friends and family of Bonehead. Services were downgraded or cut. Pay plans for the sales department were jacked with, which further eroded the morale of the workforce. One day Bonehead comes to me and tells me to stop doing safety checks and maintenance repair on our products so sales could post larger sales grosses. I loudly objected and went to the owner. As the owner is always happy to hear something about making more money, he threw his support behind Bonehead's idea. A few months of this goes by, and after he fired one of my employees on my birthday because he refused to give Bonehead access to the server room, it was restricted to me, the owner, and my employee. I knew it was time to go. I find a new job, put in my 2 weeks. Of course, Bonehead stops my direct deposit on payday, the day after I put my 2 weeks in. I decide it isn't worth the extra 2 weeks, and inform them I am out of there, while filing with the state over my wages being withheld. As I am walking out the door, Bonehead reminds me I am no longer an employee of the company, and not to get involved with the company affairs, and possible legal repercussions if I say anything negative about the company. My new job pays more, less hours, less stress. Fast forward to this Monday. I get a call from my local internet provider. They tell me my internet service bill has gone unpaid for the last 6 months, and will get cut off if I don't pay immediately. I log in and see my account is paid. So after a few back and forth, I find out I am still the point of contact for my last job's account on their internet service. Remember what was told to me when I left? I just informed them I cannot get involved as I no longer work there. They asked me for an updated point of contact. If they cannot get one, they will be forced to suspend their service. I repeated I am not allowed by threat of legal action to be involved in their affairs, and left it with that. An hour later, a buddy I know who still works there called me and told me they had to stop working as their internet service was shut off. I played stupid, but it took 3 days to restore it. The "you're sitting in my seat" power entitlement couple. A cautionary tale of entitled behavior biting someone in the ass, and it was not me. I had the seat 1A booked on both of my flights. Yes, I got a deal on first class and flew sitting in the first seat on the plane. I was thrilled. First flight, great seatmates. Second flight, problematic people. I got in my seat. A few minutes later, a couple, with the husband wearing a Berkeley sweatshirt and jeans and a wife dressed in designer duds, got on, and started immediately insisting I was sitting in one of their assigned seats. They had tickets for 1B and 1C, and insisted that 1A was the aisle seat. Told them they were wrong, pointed to the sign showing which seat was which. They got the flight attendant, who confirmed that I was in the correct seat, and they were middle and aisle, not I. Copacetic, right? Nope. They started complaining to the flight attendants that I was too fat, and was crowding the husband. I may be fluffy, but I can fit in the seat easy on a regular seat, much less these wide ones, and put on the seatbelt and pull it in some. I wasn't touching his rarefied ass. The flight attendants moved them, not I, to right behind me. So I ended up with a full empty 3 oversized seats. I made sure to stretch out over all 3 and take the most glorious and petty power nap of all times. They moaned about how unfair it was, how I should never have been allowed to sit near them, I should have been moved, etc., etc. This is why it pays to be nice to others, even others you don't particularly like much. They sat crowded in with someone else, fluffy, ignored by the flight attendants while I lolled about napping. I think they must have exhibited that same very bad attitude going through customs, because I passed them having their baggage pulled apart and inspected, while a customs agent grilled them. Karma is real. Still laughing thinking about it. Karen tells me smoking in my yard is illegal. So I thought I would post my own Karen story. I live near a city park. By near, I mean across the street. When the weather is nice, I enjoy a nice fire in my fire pit, a cigar or two with a friend, and a glass of brandy. Nice relaxing way to spend the evening. So a family in the area started having gatherings at the park every week, which is cool. They can get a bit loud, but by bedtime they have stopped, so I'm okay with it. However, one evening the Karen of their family came to my house to complain. It seems the smell of my cigars was floating across the street, and she found it disgusting. She explained that according to the city ordinances, it was illegal to smoke in public parks, and that my smoke was violating the ordinance. I laughed in her face and said she was nuts. I was on private property and could do as I wished with smoking. She yelled for a while, made threats of police, but finally walked off and I thought the matter was done. Until about a week later. A police car shows up at my home, and the officer explains he has been called with a complaint that I was being drunk and disorderly in public. Additionally, the claim was I had been walking around the park smoking, despite being warned that was against city law. The officer and I spoke for a bit, explained to him what I do and how I do it. He said he understood, I was fine, and he left. 15 minutes later, the Karen walked over to my yard to again complain about my smoking. This time she walked into my backyard uninvited. I just looked up at her and smiled. She started ranting, and so I got a good big puff and blew it in her direction, then explained she was trespassing and needed to leave. The same officer arrived 20 minutes later asking what had happened, and I told him. He went across the street, got Karen and a couple of her male companions, and brought them over. He asked me to apologize for blowing smoke at her, which I did. He then asked her to apologize for filing frivolous police reports and entering my backyard uninvited. She of course became irate as to why should she apologize, she has done nothing wrong. The officer waited patiently for a few minutes for her rant to wind down, looked at me, and asked if I wished to press charges for harassment and trespassing. She looked like she was about to crap her pants. The two guys with her started laughing and walked back over to the park. I told the officer if she promised to leave me alone, I would let the matter go. She walked off in a huff, never actually promising to let the matter go, but I was okay with it. They stopped coming to the park, and so I just kind of let things slip. And then I saw her son, one of the guys that had been with her, at the store. Seems she had made the family move the weekly gathering to another park. That was a bit of a drive for most of the family. She was still ranting about how I had driven her out of the park a month later. The funny thing is, he and that officer now join me about once a month for cigars and brandy. I cost my neighbors over $100,000. My neighbors have 9 cars total parked in the street. They always park 2 of those cars in front of my house and won't move them the whole week. We have a regulation where we live that you can't leave your car parked for more than 48 hours in the same spot. My neighbors have a pretty big driveway where they can fit 4 cars, but it's always empty. They have told me they don't like to leave their driveway with cars because it looks tacky. Over half the cars they have, they don't even use them. They just use them to save parking spots for themselves. In 2021, I noticed they were building a second unit in the back of their main house. I noticed that they completed the house in under a month. This raised some red flags because it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 months, with city inspections taking the majority of the time. I submitted a ticket with my city through the app and advised them that there might be some illegal residential building without permits. I didn't think much of it until a year later. I noticed my neighbors tearing down their second unit last week. Word got around our block that a city inspector was there, making sure everything was being torn down. Based on the materials and labor they put into their second unit, I cost them over $100,000. That's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed, and also subscribe to the channel for more. So I'm out of here. Have an awesome day, and until next time.